Hey guys, welcome to Let's Talk for December 2024, and this is our last episode of the year, and December football is upon us, and man, do we have a lot to talk about. Of course, I can't do this all alone, so I got JG9 with me. Hey man, how's it going?
It's going all right. Just final month of the year, heading on the home stretch, getting into the holiday spirit and holiday season. Put up my tree yesterday, so just got to put up the other two, and we'll be good to go there. So looking forward to it.
Yeah, waiting for that week of your life video. That's gonna be fun to watch. You said you were gonna put it up after you did your tree.
Yeah, you're gonna like what I did for that one.
We had a mess of a week in the NFL. We had a hell of a week in college football. College basketball's in full swing, and we have a suspension to talk about coming up, and that is a big elephant in the room. We will get to that. You've already done a rant on that over on your channel, JG9 News. I encourage everyone to join that channel and watch that rant. As a Texans fan, I totally agree with you. So just putting that out there.
Yep. I think most people do. Yeah.
Let's start with Thursday afternoon. The Bears taking on the Chiefs, or not the Chiefs, the Lions. Bears and Lions. Traditional game. The Lions host every Thanksgiving. I wasn't worried about the Lions winning this game, but damn, did they make it close. Eberflus gets fired after the game.
He was doing so well, though. I don't know why he got fired.
Oh yeah, I mean, clock management was so good. Their woes just continue. They can't seem to finish. They don't seem to finish off games. And yes, I do read chat. But 30 seconds left. You don't call a timeout. Why? Why are you saving a timeout and your quarterback looks frustrated that he can't get his team to the line, has no clue what's going on. Break this down for us.
Yeah, it was legitimately one of the dumbest things I've seen in an NFL game. And I've seen a lot of dumb stuff in NFL games. I do a whole series about dumb stuff in NFL games. And I can safely say that's up there with one of the dumbest things I've seen during an NFL game. There is no reason in that spot to not take the time out.
When I think of dumb decisions, I think of Barry Switzer running the same exact play 2 times in a row on 4th down.
Yep.
That's automatically the bar for me. Is it better or worse than this? And this was worse.
Way worse.
Williams just kind of looked out of it after he took that sack. Do you think some of it was his frustration, or do you think some of it for the pass being incomplete? Do you think some of it was frustration or desperation?
I think it was a combination of everything. I think it was a combination of just being completely out of sorts, like the missed pass, the sack, the no urgency, the bad coaching. Because again, the Bears should be above 500. The Bears have found more ways to lose with bad coaching than I've ever seen any team in my life. I mean, you have the Hail Mary, which they played terrible coverage the play before that and didn't call a timeout, even though Stevenson was taunting the fans. You had the Packers game where they could have gotten closer, but decided to run out the clock and try a super long field goal for Cairo Santos. And you had this. I mean, this is a team that has talent. This is a team that is playing well defensively. They're playing well offensively now that they fired their offensive coordinator and Brown is taken over. This is a team that should be way better than they are. And they have found more ways to lose games. It's not even like there are some teams like the Jaguars, they can't finish games. This goes beyond that. They're inventing new ways to lose every week. Like I'm half expecting them, if Eberflus still have the job, I was half expecting them to have a game where they're up by 1 with 20 seconds left. They punt the ball away and the snap goes over the guy's head into the end zone for a safety. Like they will find a way to lose in just insane fashion.
Unlike the Eagles, who seem to be winning in spite of their coaching, the Bears just seem to be meh with their coaching.
Yeah.
Moving on to the Cowboys-Giants game. Honestly, I was asleep halfway through this thing. So, anything of note to talk about for this game?
Yeah, I think most of us were asleep during this one. I don't know why 38 million people watch this. I think we're all gluttons for punishment. The ratings were like 38.9 million. Shows the power of the NFL that matchup got 38.9 million viewers. That game was terrible. And
it's definitely not the game of the week.
No. All I'll say about that is that Daniel Jones was part of the problem, but man, he looks so much better than Drew Lock and Tommy DeVito ever did.
They just got run over. I mean, the Giants just had no clue how to stop anything. I mean, you could have put a Pee Wee football team out there and they probably wouldn't have been much better.
Yeah, that's the worst team in football right now. That is the worst team in football.
And 2 months ago we were saying the Panthers were. Mm-hmm. How things have changed.
Yeah, but at least the Panthers, it was about their quarterback play just being inept. But now Bryce Young looks very good. He looks very, very sharp. That's now a couple of games in a row that he's looked pretty good. I think Canales has done a heck of a job, and I think this is obviously not the year for Carolina. They're a bit too far back. If they beat the Bucs, it might have been a different story. But next year, if Bryce Young keeps this up, we might be talking about Carolina.
Do you think that the Panthers can get to, say, 6 wins?
I don't see why not. With the way Bryce Young's playing. I mean, you got the quarterback, you got everything in place.
Would you consider any of their opponents to have to think of the Panthers as more of a trap game at this point?
Yeah, I think it's definitely a bit of a trap game. I think they'll lose to the Eagles, but the other 4 games they got on the schedule, Dallas at home. I mean, Dallas is not playing good football. Arizona's been slumping as of late. Tampa on the road, we saw they almost beat them this time, and Atlanta on the road, who might not be playing for anything, but even if they are, they're not playing good football right now. The Falcons are really struggling, especially with Kirk Cousins at QB. I can definitely see the Panthers going. I could see them going 2-3 down the stretch, 3-2. I could see it.
Yeah. Let's talk about the night game. This game was fun to watch. I rewatched the highlights. Amazing that Jordan Love played the way he did. No interceptions. The defense on the Packers, no question that defense came to play and held Miami to just a field goal going into the half. What did you see in this game that the Packers can really exploited with the Dolphins?
I mean, I think what we saw was just in terms of the Dolphins getting anything. I mean, Tyreek Hill was held in check. The running game for the Dolphins got nothing going. 39 rushing yards, less than 3 yards a carry, and they had nothing. They had nothing going. I will say, Green Bay's defense, what an improved unit. Makes a huge difference when Joe Barry is not your DC and when you get a former head coach to be the DC. Hafley's been a revelation at DC for them. I mean, the Dolphins, if Tua looks sharp, but if you don't have a run game, good luck winning in cold weather in the snow. And the Dolphins had no run game, and that was really, got to credit Green Bay's defense for that.
Tyreek really seemed to start moving. They really started moving the ball with Tyreek in the second half. Do you contribute that more to the Packers playing a little bit more of a prevent them from going long situation?
I think so. Because the thing with Tyreek is that even if he's quiet, all he needs is one play to get behind the secondary and he's gone.
Yeah.
We've seen that so many times. Jacksonville knows all about that too.
Yeah.
He is still an explosive threat. And if he gets behind you, watch out. So they had a big enough lead where it's like, let's just, if they go on long, sustained drives, it's one thing. We're just not going to allow the big shot over the top.
Right. I want to touch real quick. In college, we had the second most overtimes in a college game. You called that game, Georgia Tech. These two teams just didn't want to die. 8 overtimes. Since we're talking about the Thanksgiving weekend as a whole, was this the game of the week across NFL and college? Easily.
There were a lot of great games this week. I mean, Broncos-Browns was great. The two teams behind me. We had a lot of really good games this week, but there was no close second. It is definitely Georgia Tech, Georgia. Considering the circumstances in terms of the rivalry, 8 overtimes, the comeback, they were down 17-0. They were down by 14 with 3 minutes to go. Considering everything this game meant, and considering how it transpired on the field, yes, this was the game of the week.
Yeah. Texas A&M renewing their rivalry. That was a okay game, in my opinion.
That was one of those games you didn't ever think A&M was going to win. You just wondered if Texas was going to lose it.
Yeah, it was more of a, by the fourth quarter, you knew it was over.
Yeah, that was like the moment, like we saw the pick six. Like they just can't get a pass game going. It hasn't worked. A&M has not got a pass game going whatsoever this season. I never gave them a fighting chance to win that game. The only reason they were in it was because pick six, and then there was the block punt. And at that point, like the only way A&M was going to win that game was if Texas choked, and by God, they almost choked it. But the goal line flying by A&M down the stretch. I mean, the goal line, I don't know what the situation was down by the goal line at the end, but that was embarrassing.
One more college game to talk about. Baylor playing Kansas. I felt this was a trap game. Kansas just did not show up. I've kind of forced you to call that game.
Could have done Michigan, Ohio State.
Well, the thing is that this was an important game for Baylor because win and you have a chance, but you need all the other teams to lose.
And Kansas also needed us to go bowling.
Yeah, and
it
it was a big
it was a big game.
game.
I expected to be really close. I expected, especially with the way Kansas played the last 3 weeks. I mean, they beat 3 ranked opponents back to back to back.
Right.
I didn't expect this. The defense to just lay an egg.
The rankings come out tonight, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep, tonight.
Is Baylor going to be ranked?
They should be. They should be. What was the AP? Let me check the AP top 25 because that usually gives you a pretty good idea in terms of did they receive votes.
And the thing, at the beginning of the year, what their record is now is what I had is the reverse of what I thought they were going to finish.
Mm-hmm. Baylor only got 1 vote in the poll, so I'm not sure they're going to get ranked.
Dave really took that comment about his seat being a little warm to heart. He turned this team around. 7 straight wins. I mean, that's a turnaround for a college team, any team.
Yeah, especially because you can't make upgrades in college. You're pretty much stuck with the roster you got. Unless you find like a crazy good walk-on, you're stuck with the roster you got.
Yeah. So I'm really impressed at what Baylor's done. I'm looking forward to next year. Now, Dave's gone all in with NIL and transfer portal, and I'm loving it because we're getting good players. We've got a great recruiting class coming in, and supposedly, and it's all looking good. Now to the elephant in the room. 1:00 Sunday. I know you're sitting there watching this game. It's 6-0. You're probably like, maybe we got a shot. Maybe we can hang with them. Maybe we can play upset. And then a linebacker with a known history of being a little too aggressive decides to take a cheap shot. Now, we're going to come at this from both sides, the Texans side and the Jags side.
All right.
The Texans side is, I'm glad we won, but not like that.
Right.
The refs didn't do enough to get him off the field. Texans should have received a second or maybe even third penalty for him not leaving the field. D'Amico Ryans is an idiot for opening his mouth. He should have kept his mouth shut until today. And I think the NFL saw that and said, okay, we're going to punish him even more, because everyone's talking 2-game suspension. And then it became a 3-game, 4-week suspension because we have the bye. Because I think everyone figured it was going to be a 3-week suspension, 2 games. And then they tacked on the other one. And then Nick today puts his foot in his mouth to add insult to injury on this whole thing, saying that the whole team and staff's behind him. It's like, no. The fans aren't. Some fans probably are, the diehards. And don't get me wrong, I love the Texans. That's why I have red controllers behind me. But I also have a spot for the Jags because of that behind me. D'Amico Ryans, shut the F up, because I'm tired of listening to you try to defend crap. Nick, shut the crap up, because same thing. I think this clip says a lot. It's a minute long. We're going to play it, and then we'll both react to it afterwards.
I think the most important thing is the health and well-being of Trevor. Fortunately, he's going to be okay. So it's an unfortunate playing situation. I think what we take umbrage is just the picture that's been painted about Azeez, his intentions, who he is as a person. I mean, quite frankly, and it's unfair to the individual. It's unfair to the organization. I mean, we love everything about Aziz Al-Shaair, what he means to this team, what he brings to this team. He was elected a captain after being here for 4 months. So again, like, we have a lot of respect for our opponents. We have a lot of respect for other teams in this league. We want to do things the right way. I think D'Amico's explanation about the situation from a defensive perspective yesterday, well, quite frankly, was spot on. It's a tough situation. Again, it's an unfortunate play. And again, going back to the first thing I said, the most important thing is the health and safety of our players. And I'd say the health and well-being of Trevor. And, hopefully Trevor's going to be okay. But to speak on Aziz's intentionality about what he intended to do, some of the comments that have been made, quite frankly, it's embarrassing. So, like, we're going to support Aziz. We love everything about him. We're glad he's a part of this team. So I just wanted to I'm sure I was going to get asked about it. So I figured I might as well address it ahead of time. So, and then at some point we'll probably talk about football, which is what everybody's here to do. So, so I'll leave it.
Your thoughts on the double talk.
Yeah, no, I was not crazy about that. His explanation, well, because there was also another part of the press conference that they cut it out, where he was talking about the precedent and how he never got suspended before for anything. So why is he getting 3 games when Brian Branch and you saw Derwin James and you saw all those guys? The difference is that they left the field. When they got ejected, they left the field. He did not. Al-Shaair did not leave the field. He literally ran to the sidelines for the Jaguars and tried to start another fight. So it's apples and oranges. And I think the fact that you're going to – it would be different if this was a bang-bang play. If this was bang-bang and this happened and he showed immediate remorse and left the field immediately and he had no prior history, we're not talking about this the way we are now, because the problem is that you love everything about Al-Shaair. He punched Rashawn Johnson week 2. He tackled Tony Pollard so far out of bounds last week. Did this. He choked out Tom Brady when he was in San Fran. He has a history here. He didn't immediately leave the field. He tried to start another fight, and then his apology was such a bad apology. He showed no remorse whatsoever. He put dirty and unnecessary in quotation marks. He said, "I'm sorry that Trevor got hurt." He never apologized for what he did. It was for what happened. And the fact that he is a captain, look, the captain is the embodiment of the team. And by not stripping of his captaincy, by allowing him to be a representative for you guys, that's what your identity is. And if that's the identity you want to carry, that's one thing. But I guarantee you this, if you're saying this was an overreaction and BS, if something happened to CJ Stroud, I guarantee you would not be saying the same thing.
Right. Exactly. This morning I saw a clip from ESPN say that I don't know who the analyst is, but I know Shannon Sharp's on the show. He was saying that he has no issue with what the Jags players did to defend Trevor. And I totally agree. I have no problem with the line and y'all's players protecting Trevor. The fight, I think, is the first big fight that the Jags and Texans have ever really had. Mm-hmm. And I don't condone what the Texans did during that fight. I do support what the Jags did.
You have
the
to
Jags took care of their quarterback, and that's number one. You take care of your quarterback, no matter what position you play. Coming off the bench, the issue with coming off the bench should have never happened. Aziz should have been escorted off the field. I think that there should be an official, maybe an official that is maybe one on each side, maybe not even in stripes, maybe just plain clothes, that is there. If someone gets ejected, Their job is to escort them out of the stadium.
Mhm.
I know that's more resources on the NFL. I know that's, another person you have to worry about having there, but there needs to be something in regards to getting ejected players off the field. They're usually, when they're being ejected, they're being hotheads. They aren't thinking straight. They need time to cool down. Get them off the field, get them to the locker room, and make them cool down. Now, let's say let's say the NFL wanted to allow them to rejoin their team maybe second half in street clothes, fine, but make sure they're, quote, guarded.
Mhm.
They're not going to cause trouble. I've seen some arguments that say that ejected players should be able to return in sweats and a t-shirt on the sideline. I don't agree with it, but if you're going to do it the right way.
Yeah, not like this.
Right.
Not like this.
He's been fined repeatedly. I think 6 times in 3 years he's been fined.
It's something crazy like that, yeah.
I don't agree with the suspension of games. I think it should have been till at least the end of the season. But if it was me, I would have probably suspended him for 365 days. Made him sit out a full year, made the Texans eat his salary in their cap, and suspended him until the end of the year without pay. Your turn.
Yeah. I mean, I would do indefinite. I'm fine with 3 games. 3 games is pretty high. You don't really see a lot of suspensions longer than 2 games. The statement the NFL put out was very scathing. The statement that they put out was like you have a repeated history of endangering people. We're not going to let it happen. So I have a feeling the next time he does something like this, he's going to get suspended indefinitely. My guess is it was 1 game for the hit, 1 game for being a repeat offender, 1 game for not leaving the field. That's my guess on how they came to that number. Now, whether that's going to be appealed and dropped down to 2, I don't know. I'm assuming it will try to be appealed, but based on the letter that the NFL put out, I don't think it's going to succeed. The fact that John Runyon wrote the letter.
I think Goodell is very adamant on this one.
Yeah. The fact that John Runyon was the one that wrote the letter. And he's a defender himself. He's had some hits in his heyday. Right. The fact that he was the one that wrote the letter and said, this crossed so many lines. I think the other thing is that I don't think where's it go with this? 3 game suspension. The 3rd game is against Kansas City. I don't think the NFL wants to take that chance that something happens to one of their cash cows.
No, I mean, Mahomes is a cash cow. He, and Shannon Sharp even said, if this would have happened to Mahomes, Allen, or someone else, one of the other ones, it would have been all over it would have been instant media fire, basically.
I mean, he's lucky that it was a 1:00 regional game that no one was paying attention to.
Yeah. I think that's why, there's only 4 fan bases that were interested in that game, and 2 of them were watching other games. AFC South is the only one interested. The AFC South teams were the only ones interested in that game. That's the only division. It's the only teams that had any stake in that game. And the other 2 teams one was being blown out and the other was in a very close game. So most people were watching that really close Patriots Colts game.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the Texans fans are all upset about the suspension, but they're not taking into consideration his history. The Jags fans obviously upset Trevor's hurt again, and it was a dirty hit. It was an unnecessary hit. 18 feet is a lot of space to pull up.
Mm-hmm.
this isn't a fighting. It's not a fighting ring. It's a football field, and they need to make sure they keep it that way.
Mm-hmm.
We do have a question from Stroud City.
Yes. All right, NKC.
Will Louisiana make the college football
Playoff if they win?
playoff?
No, I think it's a win and in situation for Boise UNLV. I think it's that simple at this point. Winner Boise UNLV goes in.
Yeah, I don't see any scenario where LSU gets in. I think I
think that Louisiana, not LSU.
Oh.
But Louisiana, if they had one loss, maybe they have a chance.
Louisiana, yeah.
The fact they have 2 losses, no, they're not getting in.
Yeah. Halfway decent bowl game probably, but not not in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Oh, he's meaning both, but I don't think LSU gets in. LSU season was
it's a 3-horse race between Bama, Scar, and Ole Miss. If it comes down to one of the 3 teams, there's no way LSU gets in.
Yeah. Let's talk about NFL playoffs real quick. The NFC is kind of wide open. Every division is close. I mean, the furthest back any team is that's in contention, I will say, is 3 games back. And that's in the South, where it's a hot mess. All North, West, and East. 2 teams in the East are fighting, the Commanders and Eagles. I think the Eagles take that.
Yeah.
The Commanders I feel are really going to be more of a wild card threat. The West, everyone's within 2 games. Who do you think is going to take this? I mean, the Seahawks look drunk this past week.
They beat the Jets. Not that's hard to do.
Right. The Cardinals are up and down. You don't know which team you're going to get. San Fran and
San Fran's way too injured. They put half their team on IR this week. They're done. Their schedule's pretty tough. They're done.
And the Rams?
The Rams, I think, are the best shot. The Rams are pretty consistent. I think they're playing a lot better football after a 1-4 start. Yeah. I think that offense looks way different when you have Puka and Cooper. You have Nakua and Kupp in there and healthy. I think that offense looks way, way different. So I think they're the team I trust the most. They've been there before. I trust them, especially in terms of the front 7. They're getting better, and Jared Verse is really coming on. I mean, it's either him or Mitchell for Defensive Rookie of the Year. He's really coming on. He provides a lot of help with the pass rush. So I think it's going to be the Rams.
Now let's move over to the haves and have-nots of the AFC. AFC, while one division is close, i.e. the West, we know who's going to win that division, but it is at least close. The Bills have taken care of business in the East. They've clinched. The North, Ravens 1 game back from the Steelers. They're the only 2 really in it. And then the Colts 2 games back from the Texans, but the Texans also have the tiebreaker, so might as well call it 3. Who's the best chance to surprise and win a division
in terms of the teams not in first place right now?
Yeah,
by default, it's got to be the Ravens. By default, I mean, who else are you taking? You're not taking the Chargers over the Chiefs. You're not taking that. They're too far back, I think. And the Chiefs are the Chiefs.
Right.
Bills have clinched. The Colts have too much ground to make up. I mean, I guess the Texans, their schedule's pretty tough over the next 3 games. I guess theoretically, you could have the Texans just collapse. But as long as they win 1, they're okay.
Right.
I think it's by default. It's got to be the North.
Yeah. Is it pretty telling that the AFC is so strung out with just December left, whereas the NFC is like the horse race that just doesn't want to quit?
Yeah, this is one of those weird years where usually the AFC is is better than the NFC in terms of fighting for the wild cards and the 10-win teams, and sometimes get left out. Really, the NFC, you don't really see that a whole lot. I think there's just more parity in the NFC versus the AFC because you look at the franchise quarterbacks in the AFC, there's a ton. You look at the franchise quarterbacks in the NFC, there's not a lot.
Right.
There's more separation.
Yeah. We did get some news on Thanksgiving from the UFL.
Yes, we did.
They're talking expansion.
Worked for me.
2 to 4 teams added in 26 or 27. 26 is what most of the insiders are saying. 27 is kind of what the corporate is saying. There's a couple of things to note about this. One, there's some allusion to if they go 4, they'll do 2 hub cities. So right now you have Arlington as the hub. And yes, I think the NFC East is won by the Eagles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If they add 4 teams, I'm adding on the East Coast, and I'm putting a hub city, say Virginia.
Yeah, I think that would make a lot of sense because you figure that if they add 2, my guess is Cannon's going to get 1, and probably New Orleans.
Right.
That's my guess.
Which would make no sense to add a hub city because Arlington's still fairly centrally based.
Right.
But let's say you add Myrtle Beach or something in the Carolinas, and maybe a New England team. Now you're looking more DC area to do a hub city, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're looking around there. I think the thing with the hub city is you need a place where you can practice all year round because you're starting the season in pretty cold weather. At least practice.
Maybe Florida.
Yeah, maybe somewhere in Florida.
Georgia wouldn't be bad. I mean, yeah. Georgia does get cold because of the coast, but you need something around the same temperate climate as Arlington, somewhere you can practice.
Yep.
I mean, it would be cool if they would move to Indy because Indy's got everything.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is an Arlington-based company. Everything's based in Arlington as far as league offices and stuff. I understand they're using MLS's model of startup. They're trying to find the right people to run these teams. How soon do they need to get out of the hub city format, though?
I think at the very least, they need to have maybe they don't have to get out of the hub city model anytime soon, but at the very least, they need to do more community outreach. At the very least, there need to be more players in the cities doing community outreach. There need to be more teams that have operations running and doing stuff in the community so that you know what these teams are and you know what they're about. Because you look at the attendance last year. I mean, even the Brahmas, they didn't have great attendance, even though San Antonio is a great football city. They've supported spring football many times before. Really, it was really just St. Louis because there's St. Louis.
St. Louis loves football. They've lost 2 NFL teams. They've lost 2 NFL teams, and they crave to have a pro team. They know they're never going to get it back from the NFL, and they have what it takes to run a UFL team. I really think that at this point, it's going to take these teams each team being bought by a billionaire to really separate it from being hub cities.
Mm-hmm.
And I see that, and I don't see that within the next 5 years.
Yeah.
Question from Stroud City. will a major sport team come to Delaware? I don't.
They don't have a
think
stadium.
so.
They don't have
No
a stadium.
stadiums, no real place to, not a lot of room to put any stadiums. So no, I don't think so. The UFL, I think the UFL would go Boston area before they would go.
Probably Virginia. I would say Virginia Beach. I would say the UFL, the other UFL back in like 2010.
Yeah.
Had the Virginia Beach Destroyers. They had a stadium of like 15,000. That did pretty well. So
Yeah.
probably Virginia Beach, Hampton Roads, that area.
Yeah. I think that all the Boston teams, as much as I'd love to see a team, a UFL team in Boston
Yep.
or up here in the Northeast, I think the teams in Boston would block it. And as spiteful as we know a certain owner is in the New England area, I don't see Kraft ever letting another football team in the Boston region.
I don't think so.
I think he would block that every chance he got, from local legislation all the way to state. The UFL also announced that they're going to be in Switzerland looking for players. Switzerland showcase. We don't know the dates yet, but attracting EU players. Is this a smart move, a waste of money, or is it possibly a throw to maybe get some international recognition?
I mean, I think I don't necessarily need the international recognition because they need to get recognition in America, but I think it's the idea of this could be a good pathway to get talent. This could be a pathway to get into the NFL because we've seen what Jake Bates has done. We've seen what Brandon Aubrey's done. DeAndre Tillman. I think this is because obviously it's gonna be tough to get drafted. It's gonna be tough if you are a European player to get drafted if you're there because very few players from Europe without playing college ball have gotten drafted. So this is a good stepping stone. I think it makes sense if it's like a 1 year thing or once a year thing, and you get it's only in Switzerland, so you maybe rotate in terms of what European cities get. If you're doing a whole European tour, that seems like a giant waste of money. But
right, I think they're looking at maybe. The reason I think Switzerland's a good idea. It's centrally located within the EU. It's easy to get to for everyone, maybe other than Spain. You're within a train ride, a 1 day train ride to Switzerland from most places in the EU. However, I think maybe you do Switzerland this year, you do France next year, you do Germany the following year. You move it around unless Switzerland's giving you a hell of a deal on where you're doing it, because you want exposure to these players, but you also want to cater to each country. You don't want to seem a little biased.
Right.
And the UFL, I think, has done great on their marketing side. I think they put a great product on the field. I wish they would go back to the dynamic kickoff that the XFL and the NFL now use.
My guess is they will. Now that they're now
that they see.
Yeah, if the whole point of the UFL is to get you to the NFL, you might as well play with NFL rules in that regard.
Yeah. I mean, I do know that they lean a little bit to college level rules on some things, as do a lot of minor league football teams or football conferences, like the AFL, the IFL. Coming out of the UFL, though, who's better, Bates or Aubrey?
I think Aubrey's more consistent, and he's got the better leg in terms of distance, obviously. I'm taking Aubrey, but I love Bates.
Indoors, I'm taking Bates every time, especially at Ford Field. I think I think one of those two are going to break the NFL record at some point.
They will. Yeah. Aubrey's going to do it. I mean, he's come close to doing it before. Just McCarthy's been stupid with timeouts and whatnot.
Yeah.
But he's come close.
All right, let's play a little game here. Which NFL head coaches that are on their sitting on fire right now are going to end up in the UFL? And you'll get a whole new series of dumb decisions.
Oh yeah. Usually for UFL coaches, it's either old timers or it's super young guys with no experience. So coaches on fire right now that would have to go to the UFL to get another chance. Oh, like right now.
Stroud City says everyone.
Everyone. I would
How funny would it be? Jerry Jones fires McCarthy and he just walks across the parking lot to the Renegades.
That'd be awesome. I mean, my guess would be
you'd have 10 weeks of content.
Yeah, I would be just raking it in. Be raking it at that point. Yeah, I don't know if anyone like maybe Dennis Allen be the only one I could see, but he's gone. So
yeah.
In terms of coaches, like right now, I don't think anyone right now.
Do you think anyone would even take a chance on Eberflus in the UFL?
No way.
Not after Thanksgiving.
Not after that.
Sterling Sharp, senior nominee for NFL Hall of Fame. Your thoughts?
So, long overdue. Hopefully he gets in. We set the precedent in terms of guys that had great careers, that they were the best of their position or one of the best, that just didn't play long enough because of injuries. Gail Sayers has gotten in, and we've seen Terrell Davis get in, Tony Baselli get in, even Calvin Johnson to some extent. He retired early, but he didn't have a super long career, relatively speaking, compared to other guys in his position. Yes, he would be. We've seen the precedent. We've seen the precedent. And Sterling Sharp, you look at the numbers, you look at what he's done. Obviously, was he the best receiver in football at the time? No, because Jerry Rice existed. Kind of tough to compare to Jerry Rice. But outside of him, I mean, he led the league in receptions 3 times.
I mean, you got to say he's got to be the number 2 receiver of that era.
Yeah, I mean, 8,000 yards in 7 years, 3 seasons where he led the league in receptions. I think every player that has at least 3 seasons where they led the league in receptions is in the Hall of Fame, except for Sharp. It makes sense. It makes tons of sense to put him in. It's long overdue, and he needs to get in.
Yeah. Don't know why it was left off initially, other than the log jam at receiver.
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, just short career,
and he had a short career. And he was on a team that I don't think got the recognition it deserved.
Nope. He was right in that zone. Right in that dead
zone.
That
organization was in free fall at that point. Sharp was a very bright light for them, kind of like Barry Sanders was a bright light for the Lions when they were in turmoil. But overall, I think that he really deserves to be in. I think Holmgren as a coach deserves to be in. He's also up this year for a Hall of Fame induction. Totally agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
And overall, I think this is looking to be a good class, if not an epic class.
Ooh,
for the Hall of Fame.
You didn't see the other one, right? Did you see the other guy they got?
For senior?
Yeah.
I saw the contributor and I saw coach.
Oh, no, there's there's 2 other seniors.
Oh.
So Maxie Bond, who was very good. And then Jim Tyrer. Jim Tyrer is up.
Okay.
Yeah. Jim Tyrer is up.
He
is a yes/no vote away
He's definitely a no vote for me.
Yeah, always a no vote for me too. But he is a yes no vote away from being enshrined in canon forever. I'm like, what are you
Who's fighting for him?
Yeah, it's not good.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
I'll be a video changing that news at some point.
Why would you have him go in, be a possibility to go in with someone as iconic as Sharp?
Yeah, especially like because Ken Anderson's not getting in this year now. He's not one of the finalists.
Yeah.
Like the fact that Ken Anderson, Roger Craig, some of these great players have been passed over for years that should have been a long time ago. I guess his family has forgiven him, but his wife never got a chance to forgive him because his wife is dead because he killed her.
Yeah.
Like he should not. I'm fine with like if like OJ Simpson is in, but it's a slippery slope once you're already inducted to then kick someone out. Because then where do you draw the line? Especially because he was found not guilty. It's a slippery slope once that happens. But to murder someone with all the evidence saying you did, and then get inducted after that.
Right. That's unreal.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know about that one.
Again, we're playing football. We're not out there fighting.
I know we had like CTE. I know like people said like he had a clean history before his brain just turned to mush because of that. So people are kind of that, but yeah.
They say the same thing about Chris Benoit. So
yeah.
Let's end on a happier note. We got just a few more minutes left. What's the holiday music you're listening to right now?
I mean, Last Christmas is a classic. I mean, I love listening to Mannheim Steamroller, just great. Mannheim Steamroller, their first album is one of the best Christmas albums of all time. I think it is the best Christmas album of all time. Just the synths and how it adds so much. It sounds so different from everything else, but it's so good.
Yeah. I know you've probably listened to some of it. Can you stomach it is the more important question. Some of the Christmas stuff that the Muppets have redone, Carol of the Bells with Animal just going off with bigger and bigger bells. What do you enjoy listening to the Muppets remake songs like that?
I mean, I don't actively listen to it, but it's funny.
Which that's the whole point of the Muppets is to make stuff funny.
Like I won't go out of my way to listen to "We Wish You a Merry Christmas" with him with the Muppets and John Denver, but it's I won't turn it off if it's on.
Right, it's background noise at that point.
Yeah,
and you're cracking up.
I think the only comedy song I'll actively go out of my way to listen to for Christmas, the only comedy one, is probably 12 Pages of Christmas. That's probably the only comedy song I'll go on my way to listen to.
I prefer the Foxworthy version.
Oh yes.
12 Redneck Days of Christmas. That's hilarious. Yes. But it's also nice because he cuts like half the song out.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how good.
It is a long song. Do you prefer more traditional Christmas music or more modern?
I would say more traditional, just because you don't really get a chance to listen to a lot of traditional stuff. Like it's like you don't really get a chance to listen to a lot of the songs from the 40s and the 50s. This is like the one time a year you do. I think a lot of the songs are just simpler. I think that's part of the beauty of Christmas, just simple. And I think a lot of these newer songs, they try to write them like a regular song, which is Christmas bells or jingle bells in the background. It doesn't work. The ones that do work are the ones, the modern ones that do work are the ones that treat it like either you need insanely good vocals or they treat it like it's a song. The structure is a song from the 50s.
Yeah. More traditional. Keeping it a modern song that sounds traditional is hard to pull off.
Very.
Number one, especially in pop music. Yeah. And
also,
then to add a holiday theme to it is even harder. There's only been a few that I can think of. Kelly Clarkson has done it. Mariah Carey's
one of the best songs. Yeah. Underneath the Tree is one of the best Christmas songs ever written.
And, you know, Kelly's written some pretty dark songs, but that's like, oh my gosh, this is actually not a dark song and it's really good.
Yeah. That song is probably. I mean, Santa Tell Me is solid, even though it's tough to understand what she's saying at the time. Mistletoe is fine. Like It's Christmas by Jonas Brothers is great. But I think Underneath the Tree is the only modern classic. Like, we're going to be playing that song forever.
On the countryside, I know this was not released as a Christmas song, but it gets a lot of airplay at Christmas. Angels Among Us by Alabama. The Christmas Shoes, I'm not a big fan of. A lot of people seem to like that song.
It's usually up there with like one of the worst Christmas songs ever.
Some of the people I grew up with love that song.
That song is morbid. How does anyone listen to that? Like, that's not that doesn't give a Holly spirit. That song is just morbid.
And I think everyone associates it so much because it was a Hallmark movie or something like that.
Yeah. Everything's a Hallmark movie, though. I still have to see the Chiefs Hallmark movie. I still have to see that and review that.
I'm waiting for that review.
That just came out. I got to take a look at that.
I know you've got a very busy month. Bowl games, you're calling 30 bowl games?
I think so.
You've got 2 games to call tonight, basketball games. High Point and UTSA are both playing tonight. NFL, you got 4 weeks left, and then we go into the playoffs. Are you just looking for December to be over at this point?
I don't know. I mean, I love doing this. But ask me that in like Thanksgiving, I knew it was gonna be bad. Like, now it's kind of like cooled down for the next 2 weeks. Ask me that December 28th, I might change my mind.
I am looking forward to one bowl game you're going to be calling, as long as it's not on 2 certain days. I believe you're going to be calling the Baylor bowl game.
Yes.
Last I looked, it was still the Armed Forces Bowl. I think they're going to jump up and get a better bowl, but
it's really I'm going to call every bowl game that's not that Saturday, because there's a triple header for the NFL. And if ASU makes the Fiesta Bowl, I will be at that game. So any game on the 31st will be out.
Slim shot, right?
They could. I mean, if they win this week against Iowa State, I think UNLV is going to be Boise. I have not been impressed with Boise lately. If that happens, ASU gets the 4, one of the automatic buys. UNLV would get the 12. ASU would get they would be like the 11 seed or 10 seed, but they'd be the 4, and they host the Fiesta Bowl. Yeah. So there is a chance. There is a decent chance that could happen, which would be
just as long as they don't run into Oregon, right?
Yeah. I don't care who we run into. I mean, if we make it to the Fiesta Bowl, I mean, we had a bowl ban last year. I expected 3 wins. We make the Fiesta Bowl. Lose 59-0 for all I care. That'll be insane. Right.
Go from worst to first.
Yeah.
That's everyone's dream.
Yep.
Well, as always, it's been a great hour of talking to you. I know you got some work to do in the next 15 minutes to get ready for High Point. I will be watching that, of course. I thank everyone for watching today. Stroud City, thank you for your questions. We try to get to your questions as we can. Sometimes we're in the middle of a thought and we finish our thoughts before we address questions. So
I'll get to all those, NKC. I'll get to all those during the High Point game. So,
yeah.
You know how it is. There's a lot of commercial breaks during that. So you know how it is. You've been to all those streams. You
right.
can during that.
No commercial breaks here. So we today's sponsor is Circle. We both use Circle, and there's a QR code in the bottom corner, and you just scan that, or there's a link in the description. Build your own bundle and help the channel out with Circle. Hydration with flavor is basically how to put it. They got some really cool stainless steel bottles. You can customize stainless steel bottles like I've done for for JG9 and put his logo on a bottle and gave him a lot of apple water.
Yes.
They've got over 100 flavors to choose from, and you can see a few of them behind me in the boxes and bags. Sweet tea, various teas, including blueberry tea. If you're from the Northeast, you know how big blueberry is. As well as energy drink variants, drinks with extra vitamins and minerals in it. Just a great product. Check it out at the link below and help support the channel. Thank you again. As always, we will see you next month. Headed into the playoffs next month. So that's going to be a fun stream. Bowl season will be over, and we'll talk a lot about the bowl season, I'm sure. Till next time, I'm Scorpion Taz. That's JG9. We'll see you next time.